back on the PS2, we were going to be getting a third medieval game back in the day of with the PS2, but it got cancelled due to the PSP coming out back in the day. So I'm going to be talking about the cancellated Medieval 3 back on the PS2 we never gotten. Hey everyone, Jasper here from my character, and we're back to a new Medieval 3 video. And today we're back with a new Medieval 3 video and talking about the cancellated Medieval 3 we never got to see the light of day. Because due to the PlayStation Pay back in the day coming out, they had to cancel it. So that we can say right here. Father's Arrow was a pitched concept for a third medieval game. And again, y'all can, basically, I have it on the screen so y'all can read it for some of the stuff that I don't read. So, just in case if y'all want to read it, it's on the screen for y'all. But basically in 2003, it was going to be a direct sequel to Medieval 2. So, in the year I was born, Medieval 3, of what it looks to be, was going to be coming out. Which makes sense. 1998, Medieval 1. 2 years later, in 2000, Medieval 2. 2003, it was going to be Medieval 3. So, plot. Sir Dan crashes into the earth after his journey through time with Kia. Basically, the ending at the end of Medieval 2, where they go back in time when you collect all the chalices. However, Kia is nowhere to be found. He soon realizes he's in the middle of a woodland hut and is quickly confronted by a monstrous hunter. Turns out to be, I'll just say mystery. Turns out to be his dog, Sir Dan's dog from his living days, Lupo. The living Sir Dan walks and looking for Lupo, but basically Lupo decides to stay with the kinder skeletal version of his master. After throwing a rock at a bat hanging off of a tree and missing, the living Dan lives. The bat, Karloff, takes Dan and Lupo to his master, Aureus, something, who reveals that the timeline has been disrupted. Zarok has been joined by an evil Egyptian sorceress, which, just to let y'all know, this Medieval 3 was going to be taking place before Medieval 1, before the Battle of Galomia, before Dan got shot with the first arrow, before the battle with Zarok. This was going to be. Medieval 3 was going to take place back then. Which is crazy how we were going to, in Medieval 3, we were going to go back all the way to before Medieval 1 even began. The timeline was like, that is just amazing how we were going to do that. And here's the crazy thing. Kia has played Dan basically dirty and tricking him into rescuing her, of course, from her tomb, her stealing the time machine and delivering her into the company of the one figure from history whom evil embellish something mirror her own by using the Anubis stone, which was that concept was actually transferred to resurrection, which a lot of these ideas were moved to resurrection in that game, but originated. The Anubis stone was going to be a Medieval 3, but they decided to move it to resurrection. She will rise an army of undead. She will ensure that living Dan doesn't die so soon, and instead sticks around long enough to doom the Galomia Malicility, creating a new timeline where Zarok wins. In the 3 weeks before the... Basically, this was, again, in the 3 weeks before the Battle of Galomia, this happened. This would have happened. 3 weeks before the Battle of Galomia, Dan travels to a distant island to form analysis something. I don't know. Kia, again, has played Dan dirty and just tricking him to rescuing her, waiting until Pelthorn was taken care of, and then waiting for the time for her to steal the time machine to ditch Dan, and basically going back to the beginning before even Medieval 1 began. The whole Medieval 1 timeline began. And basically joining up with Zarok to make a whole new timeline where Zarok wins. And making sure Dan never died so soon. Y'all can see right here. And a crushing victory. The earth would be overrun with demons. The aim of the game was for Sir Dan to keep the timeline prior by stealing the Anubis stone and ensuring that his cowardly living self is firstly completed into leading the battle charge in the falls at the first arrow, allowing Zarok to be defeated and history to play out as it should. So, what it's basically saying that Dan had his living self has to make sure that basically he wouldn't be dead so soon, and making the timeline change where he never died by the first arrow and Zarok never got defeated, you know? Like all what happened in Medieval 1, and he's got to make sure it doesn't change by Kia and Zarok. This was also going to be a chance to refill on the real story of Sir Dan, and doing so to something. The true hero he has become and Death's companion. He was in a life. There would have been a few something of the, which y'all can see right there. Again, you may have seen some elements from very similar to these elements exactly into Resurrection, Medieval Resurrection, like the Anubis Stone, and also the companion. There would have been the genie, the exact genie guy that you see in Resurrection, also going to be a companion of Sir Dan and Medieval 3, that all moved to Resurrection, that were originally from Medieval 3. And this is the only concept picture that we have of Sir Dan in Medieval 3. and Lupo, and the elephant dragon monster thing that you see in the lake portion or underwater portion of the lake after you freeze the water and see those weird things floating in the water. Those are exactly what Dan was going to have to be riding these beasts. Him and Lupo, which is crazy. Would have been fun to do. And Kia. Again, Kia was supposed to do Dan dirty in this game, in Medieval 3. And she was just plotting this whole time just to basically steal the time machine all the way back to beginning, before even Medieval 1, even the timeline of Medieval 1, with Xerox defeating Dan's death of the first arrow, and creating a timeline where Xerox wins, and basically making sure that living Dan doesn't die so soon, which is pure evil. And we have this. Last thing, the depths of this game would have expanded the medieval universe in a whole new way, and would have featured a suffering to Sir Dan's heroic journey. Sadly, this never came to be at the time this game was pitched. A couple things happened. The popular 24 TV series license became available to Sony Cambridge, and the PSP became a signed company. Force Medieval Redemption on the PSP. Again, the PSP, with the release of the PSP back in the day, is what caused Medieval 3. This cancelled Medieval 3 to be cancelled to begin with. And they decided that they wanted to bring Dan back in a whole new way with the new console, and that's where Medieval Redemption came to be. So we got Medieval Redemption, and, well, they replaced Medieval 3 with Medieval Redemption for the PSP back in the day. Maybe it's just me, but I definitely would have preferred Medieval 3 over Medieval Redemption. I would just have to say there. But of course, it's like basically a remake, not remake, but a reimagining, really, of the first medieval game, I guess. And, of course, with a similar or shorter cell project, a couple elements from this Medieval 3 concept were converted over into Redemption, one of them being the Anubis Stone, like I said, and another being the character the genie, basically, that it says, that would have been also Dan's companion in Medieval 3. The Lost Medieval 3 project for PS2 was never more than a design personal, plus a few lovely artworks made to show some of the new features and characters, but it would have been a great something to the Medieval Trilogy. In January 2013, Sony, or their Cambrain something, but or studio to develop this other game for the PlayStation VR or Vita, and the team was renamed. Basically, Sony did not forget Medieval. They tried again to develop a third Medieval in the following years with different developers, one game for PS3 and another for the PS4, but this time they even created a playable prototype. But in the end, both projects were also cancelled. We'll have more on the lost PS4, PS3 medieval sequels in the future. And that's pretty much it. So, that's the cancelled Medieval 3 that never came to be. due to the PSP coming back in the day, and we had to get Resurrection down just this amazing idea of Medieval 3. I would have loved to see Medieval 3. You know? Again, I just can't believe it. But can't believe we got a Medieval Redemption reimagining not even for the first game and not a third game. Like, I definitely would have preferred the third game over that of what we got. But again, this is now lost stuff that may never actually come to be if we do get a third game. So I do hope you all enjoyed this video. Hit the like button, subscribe for the channel. And what do y'all think about this cancelled PS2 Medieval 3? Again, that would have came back on the PS2. I feel like we can possibly still get a Medieval 3 one day. I really hope so. And I really like the concept that they were going for this original idea of Medieval 3. Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching. See you next video. Bye!